the main topic I want us to think is our sacrifices determine the quality of our life. Cain and Evil, right from the beginning, they appear to have two different destinations. Abel kept flocks and Cain worked the ground. You have to go back to Genesis 3. God cursed the ground and said it will produce thorns and thistles. But we don't see God cursing the animal kingdom. Yes, he did curse the serpent, but not the animal. Right from the beginning, the two brothers are choosing one, a path that is already under the curse, and the other seems to be taking a better path. So the point of Genesis writer is that the quality of life is determined by the kind of direction you are taking right from the beginning. And in the course of time, as the time goes on, we don't know how long and all, many times when we read Genesis, we get stuck in technicality. But the book of Genesis is not worried about technicality, how long, when, what. It is talking about man's tendencies either to choose good or to choose evil, because Adam has brought that possibility. And so in the course of time, it is Cain who brings the sacrifice, but the wording is Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering. Some of the fruits. The language itself shows the half-heartedness in Cain's part, the double-mindedness in Cain's part, the self-centeredness in Cain's part. The self-will is evident in Cain's part right from the beginning. Whereas, verse 4, Abel also brought an offering, fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. Fat portion, firstborn, the language itself shows. And both of them are doing the same thing, but one has one kind of attitude, the other has a different kind of attitude. And later we will know that Cain is known for double-mindedness, half-heartedness, self-centeredness. He does not want to sacrifice his own will, own purpose. He wants to save himself. Whereas Abel's commitment is total devotion to God. The firstborn and the fat portion means the best part of the flocks. And then single-mindedness. He does not have any problem in choosing the best for God and leave the rest in the hand of God. And then he is not self-centered, he is God-centered. And the story goes on that God looks with favor on the sacrifice made by Abel, which means Abel's life has purpose, has direction, has meaning, because he is representing good. Cain's life is aimless, purposeless, directionless, because he is representing evil. Then verse 6 onward. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry, and why is your face downcast?" Remember when Adam and Eve sinned, the first emotional reaction was ashamed and fearful. Fear and shame is related to Adam's action, and now anger and depression is related to Cain's action. Long before he killed his brother Abel, Cain is angry and he is filled with depression, disappointment in life. Then God goes on to say, "Why is your face like that? If you do what is right," meaning what Cain did was not right. Killing the brother is not the beginning of the wrong. The beginning of the wrong is itself where he begins to choose to till the ground and brings a sacrifice, some portion of it. And that too does not seem to come from wholehearted devotion to God. So if you do right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it. Even now, Cain had a chance to rule over the sin that was about to engulf him. God, in His divine grace and mercy, gives human beings so many chances to overcome their evil, or choose the good, or take the right direction, be single-minded, be devoted to God and good. If you are a person who is devoted to God and good, you will not come in a place of fear, shame, or anger, or depression. That's forgiven. That's a guarantee. Because you have in front of you a goal. A goal means God and goodness. When a person is devoted to good, it does not matter whether you are a Christian or a Hindu or Buddhist or Muslim. If you are devoted to good, you will have a purpose in life. That will be your destination. That will be your focus in life. Because you are devoted to doing good, you will not be ashamed in life. You will not be fearful. Even if you have to sacrifice your life, you will not be angry with anything in life, because you are a person devoted to do good, and then you will not be disappointed or depressed. Life will have momentum. Life will have the divine favor of God right at the door, just as a person who is driven by evil tendencies, driven away from good, instead of doing right, he wants to do the wrong. For that person, sin is at the door. The temptations, the desire to harm others, self-centeredness, all are going to come upon you, Cain, so you must rule over it. What did Cain do? Now Cain said to his brother Abel, "Let us go out to the field." While they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. Now, Cain represents evil, Abel represents good. Instead of choosing good and killing sin, Cain killed good, chose the sin. And the consequences of that, then the Lord said to Cain, "Where is your brother?" There is a reckoning, there is a day of accountability. You may not kill your brother, I may not kill anybody else, but if I am driven by evil, then I have to give an account, and that accounting is going to be terrible. "I don't know," he replied, "am I my brother's keeper?" That question itself shows his guilty conscience is speaking against him. His conscience is now become his master to drive him go crazy. The Lord said, "What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." Adam sinned, the ground was cursed. It began to produce thorns and thistles. Cain chose that path, and he chose the evil. And when he brought sacrifices, his religious activities did not change that, because his actions were in the wrong direction. And finally, God gave him one more chance to rule over his sin, choose the good. Instead of that, he went and killed the good. He thought that he will get over this goodness forever, and now the very ground he is tilling is crying out against him. The blood is crying out of the ground, which he opened its mouth and received your brother's blood from you. When you work the ground, it will no longer yield its crops for you. It was already under curse. Now it is a doubly cursed ground for Cain. You will be restless wanderer on the earth. A restless wanderer on the earth. Now, I was listening to a Canadian psychologist who is very famous in helping human beings. Millions of people listen to him and they become comforted. And he's not a devoted Christian yet, but he is coming around. He says, depression, resentment, anxiety, restlessness, worry, fear, these are all symptoms coming out because you have abandoned the good in your life. When you don't know what is good for your life, when you have no goal in your life, when you don't know where you are going, and when you have stopped making sacrifices towards the good, then the end result will be anxiety, restlessness, frustration, meaninglessness, aimlessness, and life will be miserable. So the quality of life depends on the kind of sacrifices we are willing to make for the good. Cain was not willing to bring the best portion, whereas Abel brought the best and the fattest portion of his life. And as a result, till today, Cain is the symbol of evil, Abel is the symbol of good. Even though Abel was killed, he is still alive. Cain was alive, but he was dead back then when he killed the good. In our personal life also, many times we want to treat the symptoms. For example, if we are meaningless, unhappy, sad, depressed, we want to treat that part. But that's a temporary solution. We need to go back to the root of our wandering. Why am I wandering? Why am I restless? And look at our heart, the core of our heart. Am I driven by good or am I driven by evil? Am I driven with devotion to God? Am I driven for my self-interest? Am I single-minded in doing good and following God, or am I double-minded? One time I want to be a good Christian, another time I want to give up. One time I want to be a loving person, another time I want to hate someone else or get angry and upset with someone else. These things may sound very trivial to us, but that is the crux of the matter. That is the heart of the matter for many people today who cannot be happy in life, who cannot be confident in life, who are driven by fear or shame or anger or depression, because at somewhere down the line they have abandoned the good that would give them a direction and that will hold their life together, and allowed their own interest, self-centeredness to take root. And whatever they do, they want to see if they get any benefit out of it. If it is good for them, if it is comfortable, if it is pleasurable, if it feels good, then I will go for it. But life is not always like that. I think Susan is going through some trouble here. I'm going to mute him here. Life is always a struggle between good and evil, and if you want to see good, you have to be willing to sacrifice the evil, cut loose whatever is crouching at the door. Cain had a chance to rule over sin and get the favor of God, but he refused to rule over his sin, allow sin to control, As a result, for the rest of his life, he lived a restless life, a wanderer, and he lost the favor of God. Favor of God is one that gives us the ability to walk through the difficulties of life. Whether you are a good person or an evil person, suffering will come, sadness will come, challenges will come. But if you are driven by good, if you are single-minded, if you are totally devoted to God, in the midst of suffering also, in the midst of challenges also, the favor of God will always be there. And not only that, God's favor will multiply whatever good we have. If I'm a loving person, the favor of God will help me to love more. If I'm a kind-hearted person, the favor of God will make me more kinder. If I am doing a business or if I'm in the world making money for my family, God's favor will help me to make more money so that I will feed my family and be able to help others. If I'm walking under the favor of God, no matter wherever I go, I will become a blessing for others, one way or the other. But if I'm driven by self-centeredness, if I'm driven by my own selfish, lustful passions, I'll be always angry with people, I'll be filled with resentment, and I'll end up in depression. Face will be downcast. There will be no time to enjoy life because anger, resentment, and hatred towards others, they will be like the chains that will bind us in a box so that we will not be able to enjoy life. We may have the whole world. Cain seems to have the whole earth. But what to do? The whole world has come under the curse, and it is not going to produce anything that he desires. So today's message, short though it is, I want us to think about our own quality of life. Are you living in God's favor? Is God looking at your life with His favor, just like He looked at Abel's life and his sacrifices? Sacrifices we have to make no matter what you do. If you are living for good also, you have to do sacrifices. If you are living for bad also, you have to do. But what kind of sacrifices? And will God accept your sacrifice? Is God looking at your sacrifice with His favor? The New Testament said, offer your bodies as living sacrifices acceptable to God. In Philippians chapter 4, if you are financially supporting a minister, if you are financially helping the church, or if you are giving your tithes and offerings also, that too is a sacrifice acceptable in the sight of God, a pleasant aroma before God. Sacrifices. If you are making sacrifice for the good, you are not giving up something, you are adding up to your goodness. But if you refuse to make sacrifices towards the good, then what happens is evil is going to exact from you. Evil is going to take away the good that you tried to preserve for yourself. So either way, sacrifices will come. For example, if a young person in his 20s or early 20s or mid 20s does not want to work hard, now in his 30s he is looking for a job. And the company is going to ask, why didn't you do any job so far? Do you have any work experience? If you are in the mid-30s and without any work experience, it will be very difficult to get a job. Why? Because in his 18, 20 and 25, the person enjoyed computer games maybe, played with friends and hang around and do nothing. 30s and 40s, you cannot get what you want. Now you have to sacrifice what you desire. And if a person is not wise enough in the younger days, they have to make terrible sacrifices in later life. The same way, if you are willing to be devoted to God, devoted to good, devoted to pursue this goodness in your life, the favor of God will always add to you, never take away. What you give, what you sacrifice, what you lay down is not a loss, it is a gain. But if you refuse to sacrifice your comfort, if you refuse to sacrifice your pleasures, if you refuse to sacrifice your enjoyment now, later you're going to reap thorns and thistles in life. And that's going to be a sad quality of life. So if you want to improve your future, sacrifice your present for the good and be devoted to God, be single-minded to God, and be a loving person, be a kind person, not an angry and depressed. Depression is in reality anger repressed. Okay? When you're depressed, you're angry, but your anger is not outward. Outside, you may be sleeping forever. You don't want to get out of your bed. You don't want to come out of your house. But deep down somewhere, there is anger for somewhat. Either angry towards God, or angry towards parents, or angry towards husband and wife, or children, or friend. Something happened. Somewhere you're angry. But the problem is anger has gone inside now. In order not to live like that, be single-minded to God, devoted to God, and bring the best to God. Now, you may not be a farmer like Cain or a shepherd like Abel. You may have nothing in your hand. You have a heart. God loves a broken heart. He will never ever reject a person who says, God, all I have is a broken heart. I don't have anything to offer to you, Lord. I offer my life to you. That's when your body as a living sacrifice, your heart as a living sacrifice. If you are willing to make that sacrifice to God and say, Lord, I made a fool of myself. I messed up my life. I don't know what to do now. God is a wonderful God. He can restore your broken heart. He can restore your broken life. He can restore your broken dream because you're willing to offer it. Not single, just like not like give and take, give and take. Many people, they offer and then they take back, offer and take back. You give it no matter what. I will be single-minded. Lord, I offer my life and do whatever it comes out of me. Even if I have to be killed like Abel, I'm willing to die. But I cannot do without it, Lord. That single-minded sacrifice of your heart to God will bring restoration. The ground will again bless you instead of curse you. And the favor of God will be at the door waiting to bless you, not sin always waiting to cross over your soul. Let us thank God for this opportunity God gives to us, no matter how many times we have messed our life. God is always willing to accept a sacrifice that comes from the heart and believes in the goodness of God. At this time, I hope Susan has disconnected us from Facebook. Let us pray for ourselves, pray for our churches, pray for the ministry God has been doing through our life, that all these activities will be sacrifices acceptable to God, and our life will have a better quality. And in order to have that better quality tomorrow, may we be able to offer our petty, sinful desires, ambitions, our own willingness, our stubbornness, and lay it all before the throne of God and offer our bodies as instrument of righteousness and allow God to make use of them to bring His favor in our life.